Emperor Napoleon III had a little son. This little toddler was being raised to be the next ruler, so his father tried to raise him to be fearless. One day, during a family vacation at the sea, it was noticed that the little boy was walking very fearfully. He was obviously afraid of the sea. Using the psychology of the day, they simply picked him up and threw him into the water. Panicked and traumatized, the poor little kid came out gasping and ran away as fast as he could, howling at the top of his lungs for fear. He was caught and consoled. They asked, "Why are you afraid of the sea? Just last week you were standing next to soldiers firing off cannons, and you weren't afraid of that." The boy thought about this and said, "Because I am in command of the soldiers, and I am not in command of the sea." There is a great deal of truth in that boy's answer. We are afraid when we lose control. Things over which we have no control scare us. We are even afraid of ourselves when we cannot control ourselves. Well, take command of your life. Take control of yourself, and don't be afraid. Each time we turn on the television, we see things that make us afraid. People blowing themselves and others up. Bombs dropping, terrorist attacks, kidnappings, street fighting, gang violence, classroom shootings, even rising gasoline prices. We are afraid because we feel we cannot control any of it. There are two great powers in life. The first is the power of love. Love is the power. It can move mountains. It can move hearts. A creative power. Love can do anything. The other power is fear. Fear causes people to do things they would never ordinarily do. Fear is a terrible force. Jesus' closest friends were all huddled together in fear, and they locked all the doors. For them, the newly discovered empty tomb was not yet a sign of new life. The only one who had come to believe that was the one Jesus loved. The others saw the empty tomb as a sign of hopelessness. Their best friend and teacher, for whom they had given up everything, had been killed just 2 days before. Now even the body had been stolen. There was no telling what might happen next. They began to fear for their own lives. Huddled together in fear, they locked the doors to keep out what they were afraid of. We all find ourselves like that sometimes. Most of us live in constant terror. We lock our doors and our cars, but we lock our hearts and our lives as well. We lock so much out from fear. What exactly are we afraid of? Well, some are afraid of themselves, and well might they be. People are afraid to be themselves. Some are afraid to allow others to see who they really are, out of fear they might not be accepted. Others are very much afraid of death. Sometimes it amazes me how frightened people are of death, even people of deep faith. When God is trying to call us, we do everything in our power to keep this heart beating and these lungs pumping because, yes, we believe it is better on the other side, but we're not really sure, and we're more than a bit afraid of the unknown. With modern machines, people can go to extraordinarily lengths just to keep the lungs going long after God tries to call them home. It is a phenomenon of our modern society that never existed before. Our fear of death has come to extremes, but we are afraid of so many things in life. What have we to be afraid of? Christ enters the room. It was locked, but those locks meant nothing to him. He had just come out of the sealed tomb. A locked door was nothing for him. Christ entered that room of fearful people and said the perfect greeting, "Peace be with you." 3 times he offers them that same greeting of peace. Nothing could have been more welcome to those fearful people than these words of peace. Because a fearful heart knows no peace, just as a peace-filled heart knows no fear. When we find ourselves afraid of things we cannot control, what have we really to fear? Don't be afraid of soldiers, and don't be afraid of the sea. Don't be afraid of death, and don't be afraid of life. Because God has entered our room too, entered through those locked doors with his greeting of peace. If we find ourselves not in command of things, let's take the hand of the one who is. Have no fear, he says. Have no fear of soldiers, for I am in command of the soldiers. Have no fear of the sea, for as you have seen, I am in control of that as well. Have no fear of death, for in rising from the grave, I have shown myself more powerful than death. Have no fear of life, for I am Lord of life. Take me by the hand and walk through life with me, free from fear and filled with peace.